fucking truck outside. There's a truck outside just as I'm starting to fucking film. Holy crap. This is another one of my kind of 101 series I'm doing on different art supplies and mixed media supplies that can also be used in your planner if you want to, or your bullet journal, or whatever you want to use them for. And today we're talking about Faber Castell Gelatos. Now these kind of look like a lipstick or a chapstick. They look like this little situation here, and you take the cap off and it's a stick of pigment. You see, I'm gonna be a beauty guru here. Look at my, I don't even know where to put it. Where, there. Okay, look at my chapstick. That's what these are. If you go to the Faber Castell website, there's very little to say about them, but I went to Dick Blick, which is one of my favorite websites, and they say, Faber Castell Gelatos are creamy, compact pigment sticks that glide easily onto paper, canvas, wood, and more. Infused with brilliant color, they can be used dry or dissolved with water to create watercolor effects. They are acid-free, odorless, light-fast pigment sticks. They work wonderfully on flocked papers and embellishments to create works of art that will last. Their twist-up design keeps your hands clean. Not entirely true. I'm not going to talk about all the ways to use gelatos today. I can do a second video showing other ways to do it. Today I'm going to talk about how you can use basic gelato effects in your planner, basically, if you want to, or in your bullet journal. You don't need to have stamps if you don't use them. You don't need to have bumpy paper or gesso or mediums or anything like that, although all of those are fun as hell with gelatos. And if you would like to see a Gelatos 102 with all of that shit in it, let me know in the comments. But today we are basically talking about what you can do with gelatos on paper, either dry or with a little bit of water. The couple of things I'm using today are my gelatos, which I don't actually have a shit ton of them because price. I should talk about price. On Amazon right now, they're like 10 bucks for a pack of 4. I actually got a gift set that came with like some cardstock that have bumps on it and shit. Most of that didn't even get used. That was like 20 bucks. You can use a coupon on them. They have them at Michael's, but they can be a little pricey. So it's like collecting all of them can put you back some. So I would suggest figuring out what colors you might want to play with the most, buy that set and really use them until you buy more. Like I haven't even committed to buying more of these yet. I will say Michael's also carries watercolor crayons like this that are very, very similar to gelatos and a little bit less expensive, but honestly, they're also a little bit less good quality as well, that I've noticed. And I can compare those later in another video. Again, let me know in the comments. It's gonna be a running theme today. And while I'm gesturing at you, this is a palette knife. This is not my usual cut the washi tape palette knife. This is more like a trowel shape. And I use this from time to time, but if you don't have one of these, you can use a credit card for the same situation that I'm about to show you. A couple of other things you may or may not have around the house is like a paper towel, baby wipes, which I love using all the time. And then I have a few things that you may not have. A water brush. You don't need to use a water brush. I'm also going to be using like paint brushes and a little bit of water. You don't have to have any of these, but if you're gonna work with water with gelatos, if you're only gonna work dry, your finger, I didn't use the middle finger. Your finger and maybe paper towel or baby wipe would be great, but if you wanna use water, you need to find something that you're gonna apply water with, and paint brushes or a water brush work great. I also got a while back, they sell a little toolkit that you can use with gelatos, and I'm not using all of them in this video. I'm using 2. This little spritzer that spritzes water, which actually has become one of my most favorite things in mixed media work and even sometimes in my planner or my watercoloring or anything I do, having a little spritzer is great. And then this puppy, which it's shaped like a gelato, but it's got this like spongy tip on it. Basically, these are the things I'm going to be kind of testing out so you can see sort of different things you can do with the gelatos on basic paper. For canvas, for woods, for things using different mediums like gesso or gel medium or modeling paste. I can do another video on all of that later if you'd like to see it. The one other thing that I will be using, which is not necessary, is a clear acrylic like stamping block. I'm using this puppy. I think it's from Silhouette. You can use like a vinyl mat if you have a craft mat, or if you have like an old CD. Remember those, right? That'll actually serve the same purpose that this is for mixing. So let us get into this. The first thing about gelatos is the style of pigment. It is very creamy, feels almost waxy, or kind of like a if you rub some off, you get a little on your finger, you rub it together, it feels almost like kind of like chapstick, but not so Vaseline-y. Maybe crossed with like a matte lipstick. I've been watching way too many beauty guru videos. To use it on paper, you just scribble some on there, and you can do one color, you can do different colors to mix them together. Blending is actually one of the most fun things to do with gelatos. And the easiest way to blend dry is with your finger. This is what I would recommend if you are using these in your planner and you want to do like a border or whatnot. You want to put a border around your boxes, or you want to fill in some lettering. Put a little gelato color down and then blend it in with your finger. It may take a few seconds or minutes to get like that really worked in, but it'll get a nice creamy consistency while at the same time maintaining the opaqueness. If you want to leave a little bit of the texture, blend with a paper towel. Just crumple up a little paper towel and kind of blend with that. That'll also save you the mess in your fingers, but it's not going to blend quite so smoothly. There will be some texture left over. If you want to blend with something not your finger and you're okay with a little tiny bit of moisture, use a baby wipe. That's the most beautiful way to blend it. It'll blend out more sheer. There won't be quite as much pigment coverage, but it'll be a lot smoother and just beautiful, and it'll stretch a little further than blending with your finger. And if you test it in your planner and you want to try it out with a baby wipe in your planner, give it a try, but I would test it somewhere that's not your main area. If it's whether it's a bullet journal or your planner itself, I would be very, very careful about using a baby wipe in your planner until you know that it's not gonna like fuck the paper up. Now, once you start blending 2 colors together, 3 colors together, you just put them next to each other or layer them a little if you want to, and then you can use the same techniques. Blend it out with your finger. Same situation. You can also use the little brush tool to blend them out, and that is where things can get really pretty. And actually, use them in your planner and you don't want to use a baby wipe, but you want more of a sheared out kind of situation, you might get some really good control with a little tool, like a spongy little tool like this one. But if you don't want to put the money out, your finger or baby wipe will work just fine. And then don't forget, when you use the brush tool, give it a little spritz or a little water and just rub it off. Rub it off. Can't ever seem to get through a video without saying something like that, can I? To get it clean. Now, I did a most recent video talking about using a water brush, and I also talked a little bit about using gelatos with a water brush. I'm pretty sure I did, at least. I may not have. I can't remember. It's been a long fucking time. Not really that long though. The water brush, you just put your gelatos down, put a couple colors if you want to. You need to get enough water onto the pigment to start like blending it out. You may need to add a little bit more water to kind of work the pigment out and give it that like sheer watercolor look. It just depends. The most important thing to remember, and this could be your matter of preference, whether it's a watercolor brush or a regular brush, you have to control the amount of water you're using, because very easily you can put way too much water down. The color will start to get really, really, really sheer, and whatever paper you're using could start to pill or bunch up or get all janky, and nobody wants that. It's a hot fucking mess. If you use a paintbrush, and you can use nice like motions, like horizontal motions or vertical motions to create a wash effect like you would with watercolor paints. It's the same kind of deal. I'm gonna take a second though to add that one of the best parts about gelatos that I have discovered and read about and all the things is that once they are dried down, if you have used water on them or whatever, once they are dried down completely, they won't move again. They won't reactivate if you put more water on top of them. You have to let them dry completely, but once they dry completely, you can layer more on top and use water, and you won't have to worry about the underneath color picking up and turning into mud. Holy shit. More cars. This is what happens when I open the door to let fresh air in. This is the universe telling me that I don't need fresh air. Now, if you're using the spritz tool, one thing you can do is put your color down, then spritz it with a little water, then pull out your little sponge tool or a brush or whatever you want. Here I'm using the little sponge tool and blend it out using the water that way. Rather than wetting the tool, you're wetting the color and using that to blend out, and it's a lot of fun. You can also create a different effect, less kind of softened and smoothed out and more still with that streakiness, but with a little bit more blending. If you put water down first, then color over it with the gelato, then blend, you're not gonna get as a soft blended effect. Great for making like stormy skies and things like that, the streaky, like kind of striatedness of it. And the last thing I'm gonna demonstrate here today is kind of my what to do if all you've got is water and a paintbrush and a gelato. Use your palette knife or your credit card or whatever to scrape a little bit off. Just a couple little curlies is all you need. And then add a little water to it. You can mix colors to make your own custom colors. This is great if you don't have a ton of different gelatos, because like I said, they can get fucking pricey if you're spending a lot of money on them. And use the water to mix it up and paint it on the paper, and it creates a very sheer wash-like effect, like a beautiful background coloring or a beautiful like putting over to tint something else. One of the tools you get with that little kit I was talking about with the sponge tool is like a dropper situation like this, and you can do the same thing, mix colors up in here and then with water and then drop, and add color that way, but I'm not messing with that today because I don't expect everybody's gonna run out and buy the little toolkit. You can also do the same with the little spritzer. Add water, add gelatos, and then spray. Though I will add a caveat to that. I've done it before, and the effect of the pretty gelato spray is not worth the pain in the ass it is to clean that little spritzer out. Pisses me off, so I stopped doing it. That's why I'm not showing it, because I'm not fucking cleaning that bottle again. I like using it for clear water. You can if you want to, just saying. It'll be pretty, it'll just be a pain in your ass. Don't say I didn't warn you. So those are some basic techniques on how to use gelatos. Like they're not super difficult to use. You have to kind of wrap your mind around it. People are loving using them for Bible journaling. I personally don't Bible journal, but if you did, I would suggest doing it with at the most a baby wipe, though I will say even fucking cars. I will say that using a baby wipe could add a little moisture, and those pages are so thin you don't really want to screw with them, but blending with your finger could be really nice and keep the pages intact. I'm not actually super experienced with journaling in a Bible or messing with the Bible at all. That's just a caveat right there. So I hope you enjoyed this 101 on gelatos. Like I said before, if you would like me to do a 102 where I introduce things like mediums, different things like gel medium or gesso or modeling paste or texture paste or any of that shit. If you want to see that, if you want to see what it's like on canvas or on wood, things that are like a step up from basic water and paper, let me know in the comments and I will do one of those at a later date. And if there's other things that you are curious about for this art supply, mixed media supply 101 series I'm doing, again, let me know in the comments. I am not an expert at any of this. I tend to go and learn a little bit about a bunch of things. I think that that approach is really great for people who are too scared to try, which happens a lot. Don't be scared to try, but be careful about going and spending all the money until you are prepared to actually do something with the crap that you bought, rather than just buy it and let it sit away in a drawer somewhere. Not that I've ever done that before. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.